that he could not face Charlie any more. What he meant was that their love could find its expression in daily letters, in constant spiritual awareness of one another, that the subterfuges and lies of the Frinton Street rendezvous were a degradation of the most beautiful thing that life could ever hold for either. Long ago she had said that to him. Now he saw it like that too. What he meant was that they were imprudent and reckless, risking the discovery that would be fatal to their happiness. He had suddenly become afraid, for her, and for the safety of their wonderful secret life. What was it he meant? That he had ceased to love her. The sword-like stab of that utter certainty went through her again. Ian Berringer was tired of her. It had been real, too, for him as for her whilst it lasted. For him now it had ceased. Assertion and negation, intuition and denial, going round and round to the senseless clamour of the outer world, like the painted horses of a merry-go-round to the mechanical music accompanying its dizzy gyrations. There was the same faint sense of physical sickness that a too prolonged gazing at the merry-go-round would have produced. The grinding wheels of the taxi jarred in stopping, as the merry-go-round might have jarred. She wrenched open the door and stepped out of the taxi, the heavy fur border of her velvet coat swinging. Her slim, ungloved hand found the coins in her purse. She paid the driver. She had a key, and she let herself into the narrow, secretive-looking house and went up the steep stairs. She and Berringer had agreed long ago that it was wiser for him to await her inside the studio. Her heart was beating so quickly that she stopped for an instant outside the shut door on the second floor. Always the near approach of that moment when she would see him again had made her heart throb wildly, and always she had paused in an ineffectual attempt to regain control of her racing breath behind the door. In the early days, he had torn open the door and his hands had drawn her over the threshold. Later he had waited inside the room, his face turned to the door. And once, the last time she had been there, he had been writing at the table in the window, and had sprung up at the sight of her, with vague, startled eyes, and the exclamation, "I never heard you arrive." As usual, her desperate attempt to visualize him clearly before they actually met failed. Every mental and emotional faculty was absorbed in a passion of anticipation. Her hand was shaking as she opened the door and sharply closed it behind her. Berringer faced her as she entered. He was standing by the window, his hands thrust into his pockets, and he was shifting the weight of his body from his heels to the balls of his feet with a very characteristic movement. The sense of his virility, his height, his masculine strength rushed over her again. The light, startling grey of his eyes in his swarthy face, the heavy line of his dark, irregular brows, the jut of his lower lip, all came as so many vivid impressions thrust upon her recognition. Sacha! Ian! Her proud, delicate air of aloofness made it impossible for him to touch her. She moved blindly towards him, suffering incredibly more because he had hesitated. He looked at her for an instant, at her mouth, not into her eyes, and then kissed her. She could only remember, with a vividness that appalled her, their other kisses, prolonged until pain and ecstasy had mingled. She sank into a chair, her knees trembling beneath her. She raised her heavy-lidded hazel eyes to his, and he saw she must have wept all night. "And how is Sacha?" His voice held the inflections that belonged to it when he was ill at ease. He had begun the balancing movement again, shifting his weight from heels to toes, his hands in his pockets. "You got my letter?" "Yes, I got your letter." After the pause, he laughed uneasily. "Of course I got it, or I shouldn't have known you were coming up today, should I? And besides, I answered it." "Of course you did. How stupid of me." Inanities to try to lighten the all but unendurable tension between them. She was a brave woman, the bravest that he had